It's Capital Region Sports Saturday with Brady Farkas, sponsored by Mohawk Honda.
Siena on the road at Duke last night. They lose by 18, 92-74. UAlbany on the road at Kentucky. They lose by 13, 78-65. What was the biggest takeaway from the UAlbany game? We'll ask Will Brown here in the next 10 minutes. He calls in live. It is Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. I am your host, Brady Farkas. Again, UAlbany basketball head coach Will Brown calling in within the next 10 minutes right here live after his team falls to Kentucky in the season opener. And look, regardless of results last night, the results are ones you want to see if you're a Siena fan or a UAlbany fan. Both the teams lost, but locally, last night was a huge night, a huge success for those two programs and for the Capital Region basketball community. Those two games were on national television. UAlbany played on the SEC network. Siena and Duke were on ESPNU. Those are nationally televised games and national exposure. That is optimum exposure for the two programs. That is great exposure that helps you in recruiting. The lifeblood of college sports, of college basketball, is recruiting. How well can you go out and get the players that you want to help your program? And now you just had an opportunity to get your team seen by everyone in the entire country. By every potential college basketball player that you could want in the country had an opportunity to watch Siena and UAlbany yesterday. That's a huge get for Siena and UAlbany just to be playing their games on national television. The great exposure helps you with your alumni base. It helps you with your alumni relations. And when you get that help, when you get that exposure to your alumni, well, now you're talking about people that have money, that are possible donors, that can come and help your program and forward it and take it to the next level. UAlbany just got $10 million a donation that's going to go towards their football stadium and other athletic-related initiatives. When you start to get that alumni relationship down, that donor relationship down, now your program, especially if you're a mid-major, can go to the next level. The athletic departments don't have the money to fund every initiative that every program may want. But when you get out there, you put yourself out there and get that exposure, now you get donors that are willing to give money because they see the product that you're putting out and they want to be a part of that. They want to help foster your program's growth. Another reason why last night, despite a loss for Siena and UAlbany, another reason why last night was an overwhelming success. When you talk about just the competition itself, last night, a big deal because you go out, you play a Duke, you play a Kentucky. Well, now you're playing teams that are far above your own league, far above what Siena will see in the MAC and far above what UAlbany will see in the America East. When you go out and you play above your own league, it prepares you to play within your league. UAlbany and Siena are now, they have a head start on getting ready for their own conference play by having stepped out of their league and played these dynamic programs on the road in hostile environments. Do you think the environment at Stony Brook is going to be what the environment of Kentucky was? Absolutely not. UAlbany now knows what it's like to go in and play an unbelievable team, an unbelievable environment in a packed house that's bigger than anything they'll see. Do you think for as good as Iona is, they're going to be as good as Duke and their fans are going to be as into it as the Cameron Crazies were? Absolutely not. Siena now has a head start on MAC play when MAC play does start because they've stepped out and they've played Duke and they're going to play Wisconsin on Sunday. Wisconsin, who went down last night to Western Illinois. So maybe they're right for the taking for Jimmy Patsos and the bunch. It was an absolutely huge night for the Capital Region. Jimmy Patsos, after the game, said, look, this was a great experience despite the score.
It was just it was a good experience. I would have liked to have the game a little closer probably to see what we would have done maybe down the stretch. But we're learning, and it was a great trip, great experience. And
sure, you would have liked to see the score closer, but at the end of the day, that isn't what mattered. That isn't what mattered. What mattered was the experience and all the benefits that come from having that experience. The benefits that come from having those experiences, going on the road and playing those two teams, those two programs in their building. And finally, it helps motivate your players. Your players now have seen what it's like to play on that stage, and they want to get back there. And the only way you get back there is by getting to postseason play. An NCAA tournament, an NIT, or a CBI, which Siena has been to 2 years ago. The only way to motivate your players, now they've seen it. They're hungry for it. They want to get back there. The newcomers to Albany, they haven't been to the NCAA tournament like those returners have. Now they see what that environment is like, and it helps create a buzz locally for the fans. Okay, it helps create a buzz locally for the fans when you see your programs and your Capital Region programs out there on national television playing against the biggest names in the country. It helps drum up that fandom because, look, we're still in football season right now. People aren't quite into basketball yet. Well, now everyone, Siena's playing Duke. Albany played at Kentucky. Well, you know what? Now I'm going to go out and try to see those games. Albany, Siena, this is a chance for them to boost their attendance with what the fans saw yesterday. Head coach of Albany, Will Brown, joining us right now. Coach Brown, you there?
Yeah, I am. How are you?
Good, Coach. Capital Region Sports Saturday. Brady Farkas with you here, brought to you by Mohawk Honda. Coach, you guys lose yesterday 78-65, but it wasn't all negative, obviously. What's the single biggest takeaway you took? I know you watched the film right afterwards.
Yeah, we competed well. We just didn't play well overall. I mean, we shot 1 for 14 from the three-point line. We're a much better shooting team than that, and we missed some free throws early in the first half, which is kind of uncharacteristic of us, and we just didn't make shots, and I think that had something. Kentucky had a lot to do with that. I think we rushed some shots we normally would take our time with. I just think the tempo. They got us to play a little too fast. But, it's Kentucky, great length, great athleticism, tremendous players. So, I thought we really competed. We just didn't make shots, which surprised me a little bit.
You forced 20 turnovers. You held Kentucky to 78 points. You had to be happy with your defensive effort, right?
Well, I think in the half court, 5-on-5, our defense was pretty good. We had a couple of opportunities to finish possessions. We didn't rebound the ball as well as I would have liked on some of those possessions, but I thought in the half court, 5-on-5, we were pretty good. I mean, they scored some baskets off our turnovers, then they also scored some baskets. We drove to the basket a few times, and they just have such great length. They blocked our shots, and they got out in transition. But I thought overall our defense was rock solid.
Evan Singletary had 17 points. Peter Hooley had 18 points. You were with Armin Levac earlier in the week at the J.P. Honsinger event, and you said, look, our guards are going to be our strength. You had to be impressed with the backcourt, right?
Yeah, I thought Evan was really good the entire night. Peter had some good looks from three. He just couldn't knock down the three ball, but he did some really good things attacking the basket. Our third perimeter guy who was really good for us last year, Ray Sanders, really struggled, picked up some early fouls, got in some foul trouble, and never really got in the flow. And I think that kind of hurt us a little bit. But, Singletary and Hooley were really aggressive. They attacked off the bounce, got into the lane, and did some really good things.
Singletary played all 40 minutes. Is that something we're going to see a lot more of come this season? He's just a guy you can't afford to have off the floor?
No, I need to get him off the floor, otherwise he's going to wear down. I just thought he was a calming influence on our team last night. He handled the pressure really well. And when the game ended and I looked at the box score and I said, I saw 40 minutes, I just said to myself, bad job, Coach Brown, because he led our league in minutes played last year, and I need to give him more rest. One of the goals we have for him is for him to make the all-defensive team in our league, and I think if he's going to be a first-team all-conference player and also make the all-defensive team, his minutes have to go down. Our goal for him is 30 to 32. He played about 35 last year, and obviously, I'm not helping us help Evan reach the goal of playing less minutes and being more effective. So I've got to be more careful with that, and it's got to start Monday night at Boston University.
Albany basketball coach Will Brown with us, Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda. Danes lose the season opener last night, 78-65 at Kentucky. Coach, the local products, Greg Steyer from CBA, 9 points. Joe Cremo from Scotia, 6 points, 3 rebounds in 12 minutes. The local guys with a big contribution last night.
Yeah, I thought Steyer was terrific. Obviously, he's matched up against guys with great length, tremendous athleticism, and I thought he really competed. He battled, played very physical. He's about 242 pounds right now, so he's really done a great job with himself physically. He finished some plays at the basket. Very pleased with Greg's effort. And Joe, for a freshman, when he went in there in the first half, struggled a little bit. I just think he was caught up in the environment. He was nervous, which is, easy to understand just because, hey, it's tough to open up your first college game to be on the road at Rupp Arena against Kentucky. And then I thought the last 8 to 10 minutes of the game, I thought Joe really played very well for us. Got a couple of baskets for us, settled down, was good defensively, and, I think he just took a deep breath and relaxed. So I was happy for both those guys. I think they're really going to help us, this year. And it's always it's always tough for a young kid to, start off his career in that type of environment. But I thought Joe did a nice job.
Will Brown, Albany men's basketball coach with us, Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda. Coach, I know you've got a busy travel day in front of you. You got to get ready for Boston University on Monday. We'll let you go, but thanks for being with us, and best of luck. We know we'll talk to you again soon.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Have a good weekend.
Absolutely. You too, Coach. Will Brown with us, Capital Region Sports Saturday. High school football regional play in full force last night. A couple local teams with byes, Saratoga and Amsterdam in AA and A. They get byes to the state semifinal round. And Greenwich in Class C, a huge win last night, 49-13 over Governor. They were down 7-0 at the end of the first quarter. Greenwich scored 35 unanswered points. 35 unanswered points in the second half. And really, it was the running game that spurred on the Witches. Running back Mike Brando, what was the difference between the second half and the first half?
We decided to wake up and play Greenwich football. We were soft in the first half, and we came out with the running game and just pounded.
That was Mike Brando, Greenwich running back, to News Channel 9 after the game. So Greenwich, they advanced to the state Final Four, and Schuylerville will look to do the same thing today in Class B as Coach Bowen and his group have a big test as well. Siena, they lose to Duke by 18. It's not all negative. What are my biggest takeaways? That's coming next.
It's Capital Region Sports Saturday with Brady Farkas, sponsored by Mohawk Honda.
Siena goes on the road last night at Duke. They lose 92-74. Head coach Jimmy Patsos should be very encouraged with that result. He should be very encouraged with the way his team played. My three biggest takeaways from the Siena and Duke game yesterday. First and foremost, Siena had 4 players in double figures. 4 players in double figures for the Saints. Marquise Wright had 20. Javion Oganyemi, the Troy High School product, had 15. Levon Long had 15. Brett Bisping had 10. 4 players in double figures for Siena. If you can replicate that come MAC conference play, you're putting yourself in a great position, because not too many teams in the MAC are going to have 4 players that can go in double figures consistently. And then you throw in freshman Nico Clarith, who had his first game yesterday, didn't play his best game, but remember, he had 24 points in Siena's scrimmage against Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Kid can play, and he'll get better as the year goes on. So now you throw in, you've got 4 consistent scores, and then you add in a top flight freshman in the league who could be a 5th option. Siena has scoring. And that is something that if they can put up 74 on Duke, imagine what they can do in the MAC. Imagine what they could do within their own league. And if you want to get to the NCAA tournament, the way to do it is through your own league. So these games are really just tune-ups for the MAC season. Jimmy Patsos should be very encouraged that he had 4 players in double figures last night, including Marquise Wright, who goes for 20. Another thing, if you're going to pull an upset, if you're going to win your own league and play well in your own league, you have to be good on the boards. You have to be good in the rebounding column. And Siena was only out-rebounded by 4 last night. They hung in there on the glass with a much bigger, a much more athletic Duke team. And if you can replicate that rebounding performance in your own league, that is something that will help you moving forward. And then if you do get in another game against another big conference, Power 5 conference school, you've done that before. You've been able to keep it tight on the glass. And you see, the recipe for an upset is pretty simple if you get into March. The recipe for an upset is simple, and I'll tell you what it is right now. The recipe for an upset come March is you have to hit your free throws and you have to rebound. You have to do the little things that people take for granted if you want to pull an upset later on in the season. Siena has shown now through, it was just one game, but it was against a Power 5 conference school, against number 5 in the nation. They were only out-rebounded by 4, and that is huge. The negative takeaway from Siena is they had 17 turnovers. The Saints had 17 turnovers, and Jimmy Patsos even says that he likes to play fast. He wants to get up and play an up-and-down tempo, and in the MAC, that tempo will play better than it does against Duke, but Siena's got to take care of the basketball. 17 possessions Siena gave away last night against the Blue Devils. If you cut that number in half and call it 8 or 9, imagine what the difference in the game could be. Maybe that loss is under 10 now. As a result, though, Siena turns it over 17 times. They lose 92-74. It was almost a 30-point deficit late in the second half. Siena rebounds at the end of the game and makes it 18. But despite the loss, Jimmy Patsos and his staff should be happy with the way his team played. And now you're going into Wisconsin on Sunday for another big test. The Badgers advanced to the national championship last year where they lost to Duke. Well, the Badgers lost last night to Western Illinois. They're going to be, Siena's not going to surprise Wisconsin now. Bo Ryan will have his team ready to play. So we'll now see what Siena can do against Wisconsin, knowing that the Badgers are going to be full ready for some revenge from their opening season upset. Siena played well last night. They should be encouraged. We'll see what they can do on Sunday against Wisconsin. Capital Region Sports Saturday brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. I'm your host, Brady Farkas. We do this every Saturday. Every single Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m., talking local sports and beyond. And Albany football takes the field tonight, their last home game in 2015, 7 p.m. at Bob Ford Field at Casey Stadium. It's going to be a cold night. It's going to be a wet night. I will be there. Danes taking on University of New Hampshire. The Wildcats come in at 5-4, and a great program that New Hampshire is. It's the same program that brought Chip Kelly along and then got him to Oregon, and now subsequently and currently with the Philadelphia Eagles. New Hampshire comes in. They got to the national semifinal just a year ago, and there's going to be a familiar face to Capital Region natives and Capital Region fans on the New Hampshire sideline. The head coach of the Wildcats is Sean McDonald, and Sean McDonald is a Capital Region native. 1973. A 1973 graduate of St. Peter's Academy. And if you're saying, Brady, what is St. Peter's Academy and what does that have to do with the Capital Region? Well, St. Peter's Academy eventually became Saratoga Central Catholic. And Sean McDonald is now joining us on Capital Region Sports Saturday. Coach McDonald, thanks for being with us. You're taking on the Danes tonight at Bob Ford Field, 7 p.m. And Coach, you've been the head coach at New Hampshire for 17 years. You played at New Hampshire as well. It's been a while since you've been in the Capital Region. Are you excited to come back home for a night?
Yeah, I love coming back to the Capital District. Make an annual trek every year, at least once to the racetrack up in Saratoga. It's where I grew up on. A lot of good people in the area, especially Saratoga, that had a lot to do with my success, and it's always good to get back back home.
Coach, you're bringing a very accomplished, very prestigious program in New Hampshire into Albany tonight. You guys went to the national semifinal just last season. What are the keys for you guys to take down the Great Danes tonight?
The first thing we have to do is hang on to the football. Anytime we've been playing well this year, kept the ball in our hands. And the second thing, I'm watching them the last 3 games, in the last month of the season, JMU, the off week, Richmond, and Delaware. I think they found somebody special in the running back, Hanks. We recruited a kid. He made plays from Don Bosco to whatever level he's been in. He's made plays. I think DJ Cook, we recruited him as well. A kid out of Massachusetts, out of Bart. He's just a kid who's a winner. And you watch him in the last couple games again. Sussman started, but when DJ came in, he made some plays. And then defensively, I think the young kids in the teams, Hoskins, Cox, Clark, are pretty good football players. So we got to go, man. I don't think people realize just how good the CAA is. It's a dogfight every single week in that conference. Yeah. I know Coach Ford for a long, long time. And Coach used to play some of our teams. He played Delaware and he beat them. He played us. He played Maine and beat them and do some things. And when you play them once every 3 weeks or you play them, twice a year, You know, when he got into the league, I remember talking to him after, you know, the week in and week out, wear and tear of playing every team in the CAA is really, really challenging. You know, Rhode Island, they were up 17-0 on us. You know, Elon, they beat Towson, who's now got, you know, a chance to make the playoffs. It's such a well-balanced league, and now you see Albany going to Delaware, you know, seeing them beat us down there. It took it to them, so it's a pretty even Steven league the whole way.
Coach, you guys have had an unprecedented amount of success in your tenure in New Hampshire. Now 11 straight winning seasons, 11 consecutive trips to the FCS tournament, 155 consecutive weeks ranked in the top 25 at one point. How have you built this program up over time?
Well, starts with having a lot of good people surrounding the program, from the president down to the AD, coaches, assistant coaches. Found our type of players, and I think it was a lot of the blueprint that Coach Ford and Coach Katase using at Albany. You know, blue collar guy under the radar type of player, and then finding a couple guys that are diamonds in the rough. You know, and then getting them to play hard week in and week out. I think that's a huge thing.
Sean McDonald, head coach, University of New Hampshire. New Hampshire, the Wildcats taking on you, Albany, the Great Danes tonight, 7 p.m., Bob Ford Field at Casey Stadium. Coach, we love these stories of guys who come from small places, make it out, and then make it big. I'm pretty sure that Spa Catholic's graduating class this year is like in the 30s or something. So how did you get from there to where you are now?
Well, fortunately, my father and Joe King, my high school football coach, knew that I wasn't ready to go to college, so I went to prep school for a year, got some exposure at Milford Academy, and moved over there. But to say the least, you know, what Saratoga, you know, between Saratoga High and at that time St. Peter's, the type of kids that they produced as student athletes, as kids who play, the competition in that area, you know, you had Jimmy Town from Glens Falls, you know, you had a bunch of different people that were able to be recognized for their abilities in a small setting, you know, such as St. Peter's, such as Saratoga, and we got those opportunities to go on.
Coach, a guy I know you're friends with is Chip Kelly, who also is coached at New Hampshire. I just have to ask, because you're only the second guy I've ever talked to who has known Chip Kelly, how much of a mad scientist is this guy?
Well, I don't know if he's a mad scientist. I know this. He's a smart guy. And if you've ever been around him, you know, he's very, very, very inquisitive. He's you know, like we kid him all the time. He's like a sponge, just kept soaking stuff up, you know. He goes and tries to find the answers to all the questions that he has. You know, I was just talking to him the other night about a situation in the game that I saw on last Sunday night about something they did coverage-wise, and you know, he's telling me, he goes, Mac, here's what happened. And he goes through it, and you know, and you just sit there and you go, okay, Charlie, you know, I'm not thinking of that stuff. Where'd you come up with it? And he had very good reasons for it, but he works at his trade, and he's always has, whether it was at, you know, Johns Hopkins as a defensive coordinator or as the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Sean McDonald, head football coach, University of New Hampshire. The Wildcats coming into Bob Ford Field tonight to take on Albany. That game's 7 p.m. Coach, you're a Section 2 product. You're a Capital Region native, and we'll be happy to have you back home at least for one night. Best of luck. We'll talk to you again.
Excited to get here. Thanks an awful lot for the call, man.
Absolutely, Coach. Best of luck again tonight. Capital Region Sports Saturday brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your #1 volume dealer in the Capital Region. Don't look now. I told you 2 weeks ago, something special is going on in Troy. RPI hockey, another win last night. They beat number 10 Yale. They win it in overtime, 3-2, and it's special right now. RPI has been under 500 the past 2 seasons. They started out this year 1-4. Well, they're 4-0-1 in their last 5 games. They're 4-0-1 and atop the ECAC as well. They've already swept their rival Union. They've beaten number 10 Yale now in the league. They took down Boston College in a non-league game earlier in the year. That was the #1 team in the country. RPI is showing signs of doing what winning programs do. Seth Appert, the head coach there, has said repeatedly he loves the way his team blocks shots. No, it's a miserable thing to do. It's something that players don't want to do, but RPI is doing it, and they are showing that they are willing to do the little things, and they're putting it all together right now here at the start of this conference season. And last night, they continue to do the little things. Seth Appert, after the game, on what was one of the keys to the game, which was limiting Yale's ability to get second chances. We just talked about rebounding in basketball, not allowing second chances for your opponent on the glass. Well, same thing in hockey. You can't allow rebounds as a goal. You can't allow second chance opportunities. Seth Appert after the game last night.
We did a pretty good job of not allowing a lot of second chances. After the first 7 minutes, they had some second chances in the first 7 minutes of the game. After that, we did a pretty good job of limiting them to their first chance.
If you can limit an opponent to only one shot, one opportunity to score, that exponentially increases your opportunity to win. Now, that sounds easy. It sounds cliche. It sounds simple, but it's not. Okay, controlling rebounds in hockey is a difficult thing. You see these shots that come out from the point, they come out, they're slap shots, and they ricochet off a goalie's pads. Now you're happy you made the save, but then it comes right back out, and you get an opportunity to score again. So you get 2, 3, 4, 5 shots on the same possession as a hockey program. And Seth Appert and his team, they're willing to, and they're able to control those rebounds and limit second scoring opportunities. And then one of the last pieces to the puzzle, if you're going to have a team who's going to contend for a league championship kind of out of nowhere, which RPI is on its way to doing, you have to get contributions from everyone. You have to get contributions from everyone. Jason Kastorf is a great goalie for RPI, did not play yesterday, so you've got Cam Hackett step in as the backup goalie, Seth Appert, on Cam Hackett's performance and how he helped deliver a win.
Cam's been very good. He's been very good in practice, and usually that translates over. He's worked really hard. He's in the weight room at 6:30 in the morning, 3-4 days a week with our strength coach to do extra conditioning work. And then he's out with me for goalie sessions. It's been 6 days a week because he's been the backup. So he's got Friday and Saturday in as well. So and some people work and some people work with purpose. And he's done a good job of not perfect, but of working with a lot of purpose. And
well, now watch out. RPI, they're doing the little things. They're getting contributions from everyone, and that is the makings for a potentially special season over there in Troy and over there in Houston Fieldhouse. RPI 4-0-1 now in ECAC play, unbeaten in their last 5 games. High school soccer update. We've got Jess Kohler of the Albany Times-Union who just reached out to me and said, hey, just want you to know that Greenville is Section 2 champion, down 4-0 against Notre Dame, 19 seconds into the second half. That's in the state semifinal. And the Burnt Hills boys, AA Section 2 champs, down to Pearl River, 3-0 at halftime. Rather, Class A for Burnt Hills. I'm sorry, Class A for Burnt Hills. Pearl River leads the Spartans 3-0 at halftime. That in state semifinal action. And RPI, look, right now, we just told you they're number 1 in the ECAC. Well, Mohawk Honda always looking to be number 1, striving for perfection every single day, where they do the little things right all the time, just like RPI, for their friends and family and their friends and customers as well. They've got over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles available. They are open extended hours in all of their departments to better service you. You can shop over 10 acres of savings opportunities or go online 24/7 at MohawkHonda.com, and they'll provide you the lowest no-hassle prices to better suit your budget. Okay, being number one isn't easy, but at Mohawk Honda, they treat their customers with respect to achieve just that goal. Shop their convenient Route 50 in Glenville location to join the number 1 automotive family at Mohawk Honda, where they always go out of their way to please you. You're on the mound at Yankee Stadium, and you're a rookie. What's that feeling like? We'll ask one of the best young pitchers in all of baseball. Toronto Blue Jays ace Marcus Stroman joins us next. Capital Region Sports Saturday.
It's Capital Region Sports Saturday with Brady Farkas, sponsored by Mohawk Honda.
We are back, and we are on the phone with one of the best young pitchers in all of baseball. Toronto Blue Jays ace Marcus Stroman joins us. Marcus, you tear your ACL back in March. You get back in time for a September playoff push and then a subsequent run to the ALCS. It wasn't even 6 months recovery time for an ACL tear. It's almost superhuman. How'd you do it?
I had a good team behind me down here at Duke, where I'm actually now, where I just started working out again. Great team behind me, rehab-wise and strengthening-wise, and just kind of followed their protocol and put 100% trust in them, and they got me there.
Marcus, I remember reading you said it was a surreal experience to pitch at Yankee Stadium in your rookie year in 2014. You're from Long Island. You played high school ball at Patchogue, Medford. Man, take us inside that moment. Pitching at Yankee Stadium, it had to be special for you.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? Being from there, having grown up and gone to a ton of Yankee games, just to kind of be surrounded by the aura. It's the mecca of baseball, and to be on that mound in that city, especially last year, being able to face Jeter and having that whole aura there about it. So it was a special experience, and just looking forward to continuing pitching there in the future.
In addition to the Yankees, we also follow the Mets heavily on our station. A name we got to know a lot was Steven Matz, another Long Island kid. I read about the epic high school duel you had with Matz, and all the scouts were in the crowd. What do you remember about that game?
Yeah, it was crazy. That's exactly what I remember. I just remember every pitch that we threw, just about 50 guns, just radar guns going up behind the dish. And it kind of be surrounded with professional scouts, colleges, and it was kind of a big game. And Matt ended up beating me, but I think I had the better game statistically.
We see you on the mound, and you're so competitive, such a fire and such a drive and energy. Where did all that come from?
I think a little bit of my upbringing. My dad kind of always taught me that I needed to play with a chip on my shoulder, that I was always going to be the little guy in the room, and that I needed to play like I was bigger than everyone else. So I think I just kind of carried that whole mindset mentality with me throughout my life, and I think it just kind of shows there when I'm out on the mound, just all the emotion and everything that kind of went into getting to that point. So I'm emotional every time I pitch, and something that is always going to be there.
Toronto Blue Jays pitcher Marcus Stroman with us. Capital Region Sports Saturday brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your #1 volume dealer in the Capital Region. Marcus, Shaker High School graduate Jeff Hoffman grew up right here in Albany, a guy you may have come across throughout the minor leagues. He was with the Jays, obviously, before he was traded to Colorado in the deal that sent Troy Tulowitzki your way. Have you had a chance to be around Jeff? And if you have, what do you think of him?
Yeah, love Jeff. I actually had the chance to be with him while I was down there rehabbing my knee. He was down there because he was rehabbing his arm as well. So I actually got to see his first couple starts back from Tommy John. He was throwing 98, and I think he's going to be a truly special talent wherever he is. And we still keep in contact to this day. He hits me up a ton. He hit me up the other day telling me that he's excited to hit and that he can hit, and because he's playing the National League team now. So we'll see how that pans out.
The Royals went on to win the World Series. As a pitcher who had to go up against that lineup, what made them so good?
Their lineup so difficult to navigate. Just 1 through 9, every guy kind of knew exactly what they were supposed to do. No one tried to do too much in that lineup. They all had a role and they stayed within it. Guys like Lorenzo Cain, your big 3-hitter, had no problem taking a base hit to right field to move runners. So it's built completely different than any other team that I faced this year, and it's truly a hard lineup to navigate because of how successfully they put the ball in play.
Blue Jays pitcher Marcus Stroman with us. Capital Region Sports Saturday brought to you by Mohawk Honda. Marcus, you're a competitive guy. Who's the one guy that you want to see in the box across from you? Who's the one guy you want to go against?
All the big names. You know what I mean? All your all-stars, whoever it is. That's how you gauge how far you've come, and you always want to be able to put yourself up against the best talent in the game. So, I mean, throw in Miguel Cabrera. I mean, Donaldson's lucky he's on my team, but I would love for him to be in that box too. But yeah, everyone. It's exciting. Trout, all those guys, which I'll be facing for a long time to come. So those battles are fun.
Marcus, I'll hit you with the pop culture real quick. I'm a huge fan of the show Entourage, the guy who played Kevin Connolly, also a Pat Med graduate. Who's more famous on Long Island right now? Who's more recognizable, you or Kevin Connolly?
Oh, man, I hope you don't just hear this. I'm going to go with E. You know what I mean? He has a track record. I'm just newly just came into this, so I'm going to go with E. He's been doing Entourage and movies for a while, and he's established, so I'm going to go E. He's the man, so I'll go E.
Marcus, I'm only 26, so I'm in the same age bracket as you. I'm actually a big fan of your boy Mike Stud. I am curious, how good was Mike Stud? If he wasn't in music, if he hadn't injured his arm while playing college ball, would he be in the majors? What was his ceiling?
He is good. I only had the opportunity. I actually didn't even see him when he was in his prime. When I got to Duke, he was already rehabbing. But, I mean, he was a closer. I heard he had one of the best sliders in the country, low 90s guy. So you never know. With his work ethic, though, I think he would have made it to the majors, and I think he probably would have had a good career, to be honest with you, in the big leagues because he's extremely driven and motivated. So either way, it would have played out for him pretty well.
Marcus Stroman, Toronto Blue Jays pitcher with us, Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda. Marcus, best of luck. Continued success. We're a Yankees affiliate here on this station, so we know we're going to be hearing your name a lot coming in 2016. I know the offseason just started. You're already working out. Continued success. We'll talk to you again.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Marcus Stroman, Blue Jays pitcher. There he goes. And Mike Stud, if you didn't know, is a baseball player who played at Duke, was very good, as Marcus alluded to, and had Tommy John surgery and then turned to music and is doing very well in that regard. So it's funny to have their connection and they're good friends. So great to have Marcus Stroman on with us, one of the best young pitchers in all of baseball, a great two-seamer, a great slider, a great cutter, and he really maybe even was better than David Price in the playoffs and was kind of the guy that helped get Toronto over the hump, at least from the starting rotation standpoint. Capital Region Sports Saturday, you're brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. UAlbany loses to Kentucky last night, 78-65. Biggest takeaways from that game. Will Brown said earlier in the week with Armin and Levac that his team was going to rely on backcourt play all season long, and he's right, and that's what you saw last night. This was Will Brown earlier in the week with Armin and Levac.
Well, we're very experienced on the perimeter. I think at our level, you win with guards.
And that's how UAlbany is going to win this year, is they have to have great guard play. They got it last night from two of their big three. They get 17 points from Evan Singletary. They get 18 points from Peter Hooley. UAlbany needs to they need that guard play to be really good, and they got that. That's the biggest takeaway, is that UAlbany is definitely going to be guard heavy in 2015-16. Even though they lost by 13, it really shows you how good UAlbany is, because Ray Sanders is an all-conference player. He's an all-conference selection last year in the America East. He's a preseason all-conference selection again this year, and he had 0 points. 0 points, and UAlbany only lost by 13. How many mid-majors do you know that if you say, look, you're going to get 0 points out of an all-conference player and only lose to Kentucky by 13 on the road? How many other schools can say that? UAlbany can. Ray Sanders had 0 points. If he gives you even 10, imagine how different that final score is, that end result is. So Ray Sanders giving you nothing offensively, and you still only lose by 13, that shows you how good UAlbany is and how good UAlbany can be. Will Brown was on with us in the first segment at 9:05, and he said we shot awful from the outside, 1 for 14 from three. That's an issue for UAlbany. That's my third takeaway. They need to shoot the three better this season. Okay, they need to shoot the three well this season because they are so guard heavy. They don't have Sam Rowley in the interior anymore to open up. Look, when Sam Rowley's down on the inside last year, he draws a double team, he kicks out, and that opens up a slasher, that opens up an open jump shot. That's not there this year. UAlbany isn't as big. They're not as good on the inside this year as they were a year ago. They're going to need that outside game to open it up for the inside players. Mike Rowley, Greg Steyer, Richard Peters. They're going to need the outside game, the ability to hit outside shots, the threat of the outside shot, to cause defenders to play out higher and then open up the inside. And UAlbany didn't get that last night, going 1 for 14 from three. And I do think it is because Kentucky is so good. They're so quick. They're so long. They force you into tough shots, deep shots. But UAlbany's going to need to shoot the three better this season if they want to get back to the NCAA tournament. High school football, state quarterfinals last night. Whitehall loses, sees their season end in Class D. They fall to Ticonderoga. Schuylerville plays today in Class B. All those teams fighting to be number one in the state, just like Mohawk Honda fights to be number one every day. They've got over 180 trained automotive experts going above and beyond to make sure all of your needs are met. Their Mohawk Honda exchange specialists can assist you in upgrading your current vehicle to a newer one. Just ask Tiffany, Katie, or V-Day and see how easy it is to exchange your vehicle for the same or lower payment. And if new isn't for you, they inventory over 300 of the highest quality pre-owned vehicles all at one below market value, no hassle price. Shop their convenient Route 50 in Glenville location to join the number one automotive family at Mohawk Honda, where they always go out of their way to please you. RPI and Union, they've already battled it out on the ice 2 times this year, where they're going to battle it out on the gridiron today for the Dutchman Shoes Trophy. But something more is on the line. I'll tell you next.
It's Armin and Levac, weekdays 3 to 7.
On your home for New York sports, 104.5 The Team.
Caroline here at the Huge News event, where we're getting reports of some of the hugest savings in Fusillo history this November at Fusillo Kia of Schenectady. You can save all month long on the 2015 Kia Optima LX. Right now, lease it for $0 down.
It's Capital Region Sports Saturday with Brady Farkas, sponsored by Mohawk Honda.
RPI football, they can win the Liberty League today with a win over Union and a St. Lawrence loss. The Engineers 7-2. They travel to Schenectady to take on the Dutchmen in the Dutchman Shoes Trophy game. And RPI head coach Ralph Isernian now with us here on Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. And Coach I, hey, it's pretty simple. You can win the league today with a win and a little bit of help. What are the keys for you in this rivalry game this afternoon?
Well, you put it perfectly right there. It's a rivalry game, and all the cliches with rivalry games about throwing the records out the window and everything. They don't mean anything in a rivalry game because so much is played on emotion. And some of the keys in the game, aside from on the field type football stuff, the number one thing is we've got to control our emotions. It's a rivalry game, and guys are going to be sky high. And, they're going to be playing for the trophy and all that stuff and, playing against your crosstown rivals. So, we've got to be able to control our emotions, play in the moment, stay, just play one play at a time and that sort of thing. But I think the things on the football field that'll be keys. That'll be controlling the line of scrimmage, being, each team having the ability to run the football with effectiveness and then pressure the passer. So, that's going to be a huge key to the game. And then, of course, turnovers and mistakes. Those are the things that, you look at in every football game. But, what we need to do and our formula for success has been creating turnovers, playing a short field, playing a field position battle and punching it in when we have a chance.
Union is 0-9, but when you go through their record, through their schedule, they've got a lot of close games. They've got a 33-30 loss. They've put up a lot of points in games. So Union is certainly not a team that's getting blown out in these losses. Is that scary for you? Are you worried about your team overlooking, or just looking at their record when really under the surface they're not? It hasn't been as tough a year as it shows maybe in the standings.
No, all you need to do is you need to turn on the film, watch them on film. They've got dangerous skill position players. They've got a quarterback who's got a tremendous arm. They've got guys on defense that are making plays, and all you got to do is watch them on film, and you see that they have guys. They have guys that are making plays for them, and they are a dangerous team. They've been in a lot of close games and they haven't gone their way, but putting yourself in a position where you can win, that's certainly the mark of a good team.
RPI football coach Ralph Isernia with us, Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. Coach, when you took this job in 2013, I don't know if it was your goal or you had your sights on producing NFL players, but you've done just that. And kicker Andrew Franks is kicking with the Miami Dolphins. How big is that for the program? I imagine it's got to be big in recruiting.
Andrew's on my fantasy league, so that's
of course he's got to be.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't have time to play fantasy football, but I do know some guys. He's their fantasy kicker, and it's really neat that that we've got a guy in the NFL, and it's really a testament to his work ethic and the type of person he is. He was out there shoveling snow off the field in order to kick and practice and all that stuff, and that was in the off season. So it's great. It's great, and it's one of those things you could show recruits, and you got his Miami Dolphins jersey up, and it's a great story and everything. And Andrew would have been the first one to tell you that he chose RPI, first and foremost for the education. And oh, by the way, this NFL thing, came about. So, it's certainly neat for us, and having a guy in the NFL and following him, that's created a lot of buzz for us.
RPI football coach Ralph Isernia with us, Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda. RPI taking on Union this afternoon. It's at noon. It's over in Schenectady. Make it on over if you can. Big rivalry, the Dutchman Shoes Trophy game. Coach Isernia, hey, thanks for being with us. Best of luck, and hopefully we're talking to you again here after you've captured a Liberty League championship.
All right, thank you. Appreciate having you on.
RPI can win the Liberty League today and get an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament, the D3 NCAA tournament, with a win and then a St. Lawrence loss. St. Lawrence holds the tiebreaker over RPI, so they're going to need a win and some help. And look, the records are right. They do go out the window in a rivalry game. Union is 0-9, but those losses are close. Again, 33-30, a couple of games in which they've scored and just haven't been able to stop anybody. So the Dutchmen, they're going to give RPI a good run today. And this weather, it's cold, it's windy, it's rainy. It's going to be a ground and pound game. It's going to come down to toughness and who can make stops and who can tackle. So if the Dutchmen can do that, they might be able to throw a surprise at the Engineers. But the Engineers certainly have a lot to play for. The Dutchman Shoes Trophy, and then a potential Liberty League championship. Capital Region Sports Saturday brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. Siena, the women's soccer team, prepping for the NCAA tournament. They're taking on UConn on Sunday at 1, that game in Storrs, Connecticut. And Siena, they used an improbable, if that's even a strong enough word, an improbable run to win the MAC championship. They knocked off the top 3 seeds, the 1, 2, and 3 in the tournament, to get out of the MAC and win it. And I talked to Coach Steve Karbowski yesterday, and he said, look, our team is, it's hard to process what we've done. We haven't had time to really sit back and reflect yet. Steve Karbowski, Siena women's soccer coach.
We're enjoying it this week for sure. You know, it's a little hectic still getting prepared for another game, but I'd much rather be doing that than the alternative of wrapping up a season.
And Siena, as we talk about all the time, when you talk about trying to pull an upset, and this would be an upset if Siena, who's just clinched just their second ever NCAA tournament berth, that they could beat UConn, they're going to have to be the aggressor. You can't sit back and just let the favorite dictate everything. You saw that yesterday when you watched basketball. Will Brown and Albany, they went out there and they went at Kentucky. They tried to not let Kentucky just dominate them physically and do what they wanted to do. Albany came out and tried to play their game and impose their style, and Siena has got to do that as well. Again, Steve Karbowski, head coach, on what the big key to the game is for Siena, and it's playing aggressive.
So we're going to have the ball. You know, you can't go in and defend for 70, 80 minutes. But I think we've been very good on the ball and possessing the ball. So I think if we can get them to chase us around, the pressure mounts on them because they're the favorite.
Exactly. You have to put the pressure on UConn and make them do things that they're uncomfortable with. Let them chase you around, as he alluded to. Let them be the ones that have the pressure build up. Siena's got no pressure. They aren't even supposed to be there. They weren't even supposed to get out of their own league. They were the number 6 seed in the NCAA tournament. And you should follow along with that game tomorrow, Sunday, 1 p.m., Siena at UConn. Siena's got a number of local players, players from Columbia, players from Shenandoah. So if you're interested in the local sports scene and what players are doing at the next level, the Siena women's soccer team is a program for you to follow. And that's a game for you to follow as well. Albany field hockey in the NCAA tournament this weekend as well. The Danes are one of the top teams in the country, so they got to the Final Four last year, and they're led by Paolo Heuser, one of the top players in the nation, and also another local product, Shenandoah's Anna Bottino. So the Great Danes in the action on field hockey. Class B regional today, football. Schuylerville looking to clinch a berth, punch a ticket to the state Final Four. We've got state soccer semifinals going on right now as well. Burnt Hills is down, as is Greenville in those matchups. RPI Union, Big Dutchman Shoes trophy game on the gridiron today. That game noon at Schenectady. Siena women's basketball falls last night in their opener to St. Bonaventure, 57-40. Allie Jackson Company will look to rebound in game 2. Tough break for the Capital Region. One of the best stories of the year is coming to an end for the year. Dion Lewis, Patriots running back, Albany Academy product, out for the season with a torn ACL. Good news, Jordan Canzeri, Iowa running back. He's back today for the number 5 Hawkeyes. And Albany football, home tonight, 7 p.m. A big matchup, college football. The College Football Playoff Committee is going to have to take a look at this one. Oklahoma and Baylor. That is tonight. Everything you need to know. College Game Day is next.